have a UC.
Ms. Crockett from Texas is recognized for UC.
Thank you so much. Donald Trump's approval rating implodes on his strongest issue. This is from Newsweek today. It says 40% of people approve of Trump's handling of immigration and border security, while 60% disapprove.
Without objection,
that is a
admitted.
net drop.
Now I recognize the gentleman
20.
from California, Mr. Lieu.
Thank you, Attorney General Bondi, for being here today. I'm going to show you two photos.
Thank you.
I'm going to show you two photos of former Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein. Under the law Congress passed, you were allowed to redact photos to protect the victims of Epstein's sex trafficking operation. You redacted the photos of this victim's face because you were following the congressional law. Is that correct?
I'm sorry that we redacted the victim's
Because you were
face?
following the congressional law, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You have now established that please put the photos back up, that we are looking at a sex trafficking victim. Under the Federal Victims Trafficking Protection Act, not only is Jeffrey Epstein guilty, but anyone who patronizes Epstein's sex operation is also guilty of a crime. That's why I find it absolutely despicable that you sought to protect Epstein's clients, like former Prince Andrew. Last July, you closed the case on Epstein's abusers. The July 2025 memo from your Department of Justice stated, quote, "We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties." These two photos, please put the photos back up. These two photos staring you in the face are evidence of a crime and more than enough evidence to predicate an investigation against former Prince Andrew. So I ask you, Attorney General Pam Bondi, why did you shut down this investigation last July, and why have you not prosecuted former Prince Andrew?
I don't believe you asked Merrick Garland these questions when he was Attorney General and set before
I agree with you.
You twice.
I'm reclaiming my time. I agree with you. I agree with you. During the Biden administration, I called for people looking at Epstein files. Merrick Garland dropped the ball, as did Attorney General Bill Barr, as did Alex Acosta, a whole string of failures. But you are in charge. You have the power to change things, to hold these men accountable, and you're doing the opposite. You're protecting them. So I want to move on to another man.
Can I answer
Donald
that,
Trump.
though?
I want to move on to another
Can I
question.
answer your question about protecting
You
Prince
answered the
Andrew?
question.
You're saying no. I love this.
I want to discuss another man, Donald Trump, who is all over the Epstein files, like former Prince. Here's a video. Like former Prince Andrew, Donald Trump attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know, were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein?
This is so ridiculous, and that they are trying to deflect from all the great things Donald Trump has done. There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that. This has been the most transparent presidency. He's the one that asked that those files
I'm reclaiming my time.
be
I got your
released.
answer. You said there's no evidence.
President Trump asked
Mr. Chairman, please stop the clock.
sign
Stop the clock.
the legislation. This is
Time.
this
I'd like
is
to reclaim my
ridiculous.
time.
Time belongs to the gentleman from California.
Okay. I'm going to put up another document from a witness who called the FBI's National Threat Operations Center, because I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you just lied under oath, and this is on videotape. You said there's no evidence of a crime. I'm showing you, here is a witness statement who called into the FBI's Threat Operations Center. He drove Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard what Donald Trump said to Jeffrey on his cell phone. He was so angry, he was going to stop a limo and hurt Donald Trump. And he met a girl who said she was raped by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. She later had her head blown off, and officers at the scene said that could not have been suicide. No one at the Department of Justice interviewed this witness. You need to interview this witness immediately. Epstein should rot in hell, so should the men who patronized his operation. And as we sit here today, there are over 1,000 sex trafficking victims, and you have not held a single man accountable. Shame on you. If you had any decency, you would resign right after this hearing concludes.
The gentleman has expired.
May I respond?
Yeah, I don't know how you respond. No one can.
I did not
can
ask a
respond.
question,
He
Mr.
doesn't
You're
want
allowed
to talk
to.
about
I did
the
not ask a
horrific
question.
crime in California. He does not want to talk about
I did not ask a
crime
question.
in his
She
state.
can't just
Madam Attorney
ad-lib
General.
stuff.
Going
I
after
did not
Donald
ask a
Trump.
question.
Meeting will be in order. The gentleman has yielded back his time. I think our next witness will be.
What Ted Lieu did here wasn't just confront an attorney general. He forced the entire country to look at something we've been trained not to look at for years. The uncomfortable truth that when crimes intersect with power, status, and political usefulness, justice doesn't just slow down. It stops. And that's the part people keep missing. This isn't about whether you like Ted Lieu or Pam Bondi. It's not even really about party labels anymore. It's about a pattern that keeps repeating no matter who's in office. Epstein didn't operate in the shadows. He operated in plain sight. His connections weren't whispers. They were documented, photographed, scheduled. And yet, over and over again, the institutions that exist to protect victims somehow find reasons not to act. That's why Lieu's line, "You are in charge now," matters so much, because excuses eventually expire. You can only point backward for so long before responsibility becomes unavoidable. When every prior administration dropped the ball, the only question left is whether the current one plans to pick it up or quietly roll it out of sight. Pam Bondi had a chance in that moment to say the words victims have been waiting years to hear. We will reopen this. We will investigate. No one is above the law. Instead, she chose denial and defensiveness. She chose to protect the narrative instead of interrogating the facts. And when that happens, the message to victims is crystal clear. Your truth is inconvenient. What makes this even more disturbing is how normalized this has become. We've reached a point where allegations involving powerful men are treated as political nuisances rather than moral emergencies, where no evidence becomes a shield, not because evidence doesn't exist, but because no one wants to touch it, where outrage fades faster than accountability ever arrives. And that's why hearings like this feel so infuriating to watch, because you can almost feel the clock running out on consequences. You can hear the procedural language, the reclaimed time, the interruptions, all of it functioning as a kind of insulation, not against false claims, but against action. The real scandal is that one attorney general refused to engage. It's that the system allows her to. That resignation isn't expected. That consequences aren't automatic. That victims are still asked to wait while powerful people are protected from discomfort. If this exchange tells us anything, it's that accountability in America is still optional, unless the public refuses to let it be. And that's where this shifts from a hearing to a responsibility. Because the reason these stories die isn't lack of evidence. It's lack of sustained attention. Outrage spikes, headlines flash, and then everyone moves on exactly as the powerful hope we will. So don't move on. Remember this moment. Remember how calmly the evidence was dismissed. Remember how quickly the conversation was shut down. Remember how defensive power becomes when it's cornered by facts instead of slogans. Justice doesn't happen because the right people are in office. It happens when pressure doesn't let up, when questions keep being asked long after the cameras turn away. And if this made you uncomfortable, that's not a bug. That's the point. Because nothing changes if we treat moments like this as just another clip. Talk about it, share it, argue about it, keep it alive. Subscribe so these conversations don't disappear, and leave a comment with what you think accountability should actually look like, not in theory, but in practice. The truth doesn't need permission to exist, but it does need people willing to refuse silence.